us good Catholics, right? Drifted right on back for the third time. Then the scandal broke in Boston, and that was Camel's Back when the Spotlight, the movie, the whole thing. My father knew the bishops and the cardinals. I told him I'm not walking away from the church. I said I'm just going to take another path and stuff. That was like the third strike, personally, for me.
Were you baptized Catholic?
I was Christian. You don't get much more into it than Portuguese, let me tell you that. We were like right up into it. I got stuff. I took the kids from St. Teresa's to see the Pope.
Wow.
When the Pope came, Pope John II, I took him to see him. I got
He wants to get
a
closer.
big old certificate from the Pope.
Wow.
Heck yeah. My father knew the cardinal. I've got stuff from him and yeah, we were deep into the church.
George, I think I found the way to fix it. Rotate to landscape mode. Rotate the home screen automatically when your phone's orientation changes.
What?
I think I fixed mine so it'll do it. You want to try my phone?
Yeah, because this one's showing too small of a screen.
Okay, so
Oh, let me get my clip.
so let's see if this will work.
What
Facebook.
happened? You had this one on.
It's on, right?
The green is on.
Green's on.
The mic's on.
Yeah, remember last time something happened?
I didn't turn it on when I was over there, but then I turned it on, but for some reason this is not working. Well,
Okay, George, here you go. And let me turn the volume. Okay, try that. I can't believe you guys are 75.
Well, I'll take that as a compliment.
Well, yeah, you should. My brother is 75 and his wife. My eldest brother is 70. Let's see what I'm 19. He's going to be 78, so he's 77.
Ah.
But just I think they're very healthy so far, so good. Although this is the first year he had never been in a hospital before. He's only been in one time, and he ended up having 90% blockage. He went in for a regular checkup.
Ooh.
So we put like 4 or 5 stents
how
in
do
him.
you?
Last time I got carded, I was 36. They
You were
carded me at 36.
At 36?
I got carded at 36.
I
On my birthday.
used to look very young too.
Ah.
Going down.
You still do. It's so hard to tell. nowadays.
Come on. No, it's not doing it. It should automatically do it. There we go.
Yeah, but
And
this
as
is
soon as you do that, it's going to be live.
okay. Okay.
Closer.
Oh yeah, see now it's better. I get closer of him too.
Nice. Okay, so we could put
Good. 'Cause we're already on YouTube, so don't say nothing you don't want.
I don't see anything. You know what I was going to do, George? I meant to bring my tablet so we could have.
I know, that's why I wanted to use my phone to see if you could use your phone,
You know what we could do though? If you want to, on your phone, do YouTube, and we could play the Ruben Obed music. This
Okay.
Latino's gonna go for Trump.
we can do that.
Okay, so whenever we're ready, we just.
Okay, and we should be right. Looks like we're,
I'll let you do the
well,
address.
I wanted to sign it. So that way we get our heads plus the Trump sign.
Yeah, last time we did it when we were sideways.
Sideways.
Do you have a banner for ARC
Mhm.
that we can put up?
Oh,
did
not
you order
on
with
me.
Okay.
But yeah,
Next time
remind me
remember
that.
to bring
But
one.
what happened
Sure.
was that we had one. Bahana designed a beautiful banner for us, And because I've got glaucoma and my eyes are dimming and I can't see very well in dim light, when we were clearing the room, I didn't see the box and I just didn't think about it because we got the box. And then we got down there and halfway through the event, Fahana goes, "Where's the banner?" And Johnny went, you know. So we haven't actually shown the banner. So Saturday will be the first time anyone will see the brand new ARC banner.
Very cool.
So we're gonna show it then. And if I would have remembered it, I didn't know we could like do that here.
So,
but sure,
yeah,
sometime
so
I'll bring
here's
it
what
down
you
and
should
put it
do.
up.
Before the event, take a photo of it and post it on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh.
say, and just say,
Say
hey,
that'll be my
come
last.
down
Come
and
down.
see us here,
Excellent.
and you can see our new banner.
Boom.
And then take a photo of yourself.
Oh, and this is our. That's gonna be the
Okay, so
flyer,
let's see, where are you
double-sided.
gonna be? Oh, you're gonna. I should try to go to this. 4 to 10.
Yeah. 4 to 9, 4 to 10, something like 4 to 10, 4 to 9, I think, something like that. And yeah, I was gonna say if you could get down there, I'm gonna try to take some pictures. I invited some other folks. I told Robin Finlinson about it, and you know, it's gonna be. I think they got like thousands of people go to this thing every year, and then that's us. And I just did a double-sided on us.
Hello, people on YouTube land.
There. All right.
Okay.
Hey, so you haven't started Facebook yet.
No, not until
But we are on YouTube.
on
Okay,
YouTube.
so if you're on YouTube, you know what I want to remind you guys is please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And you can also click on the bell. And if you do that, then whenever we broadcast live, you get alerted through your email. So it's really cool because you think, oh yeah, the Chips and Salsa show is going to be on. Plus, we can take all the subscribers that we can get. And let's say that you're watching us, but oh, something happens, you got a hot date, and you can't finish watching us. That's okay. Come back later and watch us on YouTube, or share the link. And we always try to share the link on the Facebook anyway. And that's the beauty of YouTube.
That's the beauty of YouTube, people.
We appreciate you chipsters very, very, very much. All right, we got about 7 more minutes to go to rock and roll. We got a lot of, yeah, it's gonna be cool, a lot of stuff. We might be sharing some pictures. I don't know if Rev's gonna let us. If not, we'll talk about them.
Let's share them because we've got the other ones, and
They're
everyone
awesome.
has seen Game of Thrones, but you, so they'll know what I'm talking
Oh,
about
okay.
when I say watchers on the wall.
How do you get Ruben Obed? It's on
Oh,
YouTube.
it's
now.
on YouTube? Okay, I'll get it for you.
Okay. Give me the sign when we'll open with Ruben Obed.
Yeah.
Let it run for what, a 3-minute? You want to let it run for 3 minutes? I have a timer we can use. Da-da-da.
Scatter poker, what's this?
Huh?
It says scatter poker came up. Let's see.
I have a stop timer error. We have a countdown timer here.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Okay. You find it?
I was putting it on there and then you had something came up on your screen. I want to get this Latino's gonna vote for Trump.
You
Okay.
just put it close to your mic and then.
Trump, 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 this Latino gonna vote for Trump.
Start.
Trump, 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 this Latino gonna vote for Trump.
You ready?
Trump, Trump, Trump,
Just pick it up.
Live.
let's get it straight. Who am I gonna vote for? I'll vote for the man who tells me the truth, the one that we have prayed and hoped for.
Chips Salsa Show is live now.
Who am I gonna vote
All the way live.
for? His name is Donald, who's gonna
Here we
make
go.
us great again. And I, as a Latino, want my people to understand. Let's put an end to political correctness and make you comprehend. Trump, this Latino gonna vote for Trump. Who you gonna vote for?
Trump, 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 this Latino's gonna vote for Trump. Trump, 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 this Latino's gonna vote for Trump. So you're listening to our good friend Ruben Obed, and he wrote this the first time Trump ran. This
Oh.
Latino's gonna vote for Trump.
Aha.
So we thought we'd open because we have a lot of stuff to talk about Trump.
Oh, it's okay.
So ready? Here we go again.
Going.
Puerto Rico.
Ah,
Sí, bueno,
He's a
Boricua.
he's a Puerto Rican connection.
Latinos gonna vote for Trump. Trump, these Latinos gonna vote for Trump. Latinos gonna vote for Trump.
yeah, well, you got that's nice. Amen to that.
Puerto Rico. He's our Puerto Rican connection.
Well, here, of course, it's lots and lots of folks from South America where I come from up in Boston and New York. So all Puerto Rican.
Yeah, his name is Ruben Obed, and he's a artist out there, and he makes just songs, Trump songs and Latino songs that are English, but for Trump. He's very good. I think he has one for the border wall too.
Ruben Obed's been a hardcore Trump supporter. And we talked to him when we used to be able to do that over the phone. Then we could talk to him over the phone. So we keep telling him, come visit us in Arizona. Ruben, that's for you. So we'll play some more of Ruben's songs. That's Ruben Obed, El Mejor. You can find him on Facebook. And it's Ruben O-B-E-D. If you go to YouTube, just throw him in there and you'll have, this song is called This Latino's Gonna Vote for Trump. I have it as my ringtone.
Oh,
This
cool.
Latino's gonna vote for Trump. We're gonna start a little bit
All
early.
right.
All right? Chipsters, welcome to the Chips and Salsa Show. I'm Alice Lara with
Don Jorge in my little Hawaiian shirt and my Trump hat, and we're here to rock.
Are you still the Alacran?
Yep. I just stopped saying it since I had that nightmare of scorpions.
He's afraid to say it now. We have a fantastic show for you today. Before we get started though, if you're watching us on Facebook and if for some reason you have not liked our show, we're getting likes every day, George. It's pretty cool.
I know.
So please keep
It's
liking
building,
our
it's
page.
building.
We'd like to get to 5,000 likes. We'd like to think big. We have a great show. I'm going to introduce you in just a moment to our really good friend. He's back, Reverend Clyde Bowen.
Hi, everybody.
I have
Great
a
to be here.
beautiful little bio that I'm going to read about him here in just a little bit. But what I thought we'd do, George, is kind of take care of all of our little announcements.
Okay.
Want to do that and take care of that?
Yep.
I want to start the show by saying a big thank you to my boss, Stan Barnes. He was at our women's club last night. You guys missed a really good meeting. We are now Greater Phoenix Republican Women, and my boss, Stan Barnes, was there with Arizona State Senator Kate Brophy-McGee. And they went over legislation and talked about Arizona legislation. And, Arizona, they want us to be purple so bad. They're coming after us. So it was a really good show. It was a really good meeting. Felt like a show because it was so well done. But what we're also going to do, our club is going to go dark for July and August, kind of, because in July, on Friday, July the 26th, we will be having a mixer. So I hope you guys can make it. And that's going to be from 4 to 7. It's only $10. What a bargain. We're going to have light appetizers, iced tea and water. If you want to buy your own drink, you can do that. It's going to be at the Half Moon Windy City Sports Grill in the Colangelo Room. That's 2121 East Highland, so very central located. And we'll be talking more about it. It's going to be an open house mix and mingle with your Republican elected officials and candidates. So if you're out there and you're Republican and you're getting ready to run for office, please come by and be a part of this. So if you have questions, you can email info at gprw1958.org. That's info at gprw1958.org. And why don't you tell them about the Juneteenth, and then we'll talk more in detail what that's going to be, but tell them when that is tomorrow.
Certainly. We're going to have the Juneteenth celebration. It's that worldwide historic celebration that's been known and come to be known as Juneteenth. On January 1st, 1863, President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. Everybody didn't get that memo because 2 years later in June in Texas, they found out that they had been freed 2 years before. Their jubilation led to what was called Juneteenth. and they've been celebrating it for the last few years, and it's turned into a really big deal. The ARC, Arizona American African Republican Committee, is going down to East Lake Park to celebrate with folks and spread the word, and we're kind of going to be amongst lots and lots of Democrats, but we're going to get our message out as to who, what, where, and why Juneteenth is very, very important. We think it's simply an extension of the Emancipation Proclamation. Without that proclamation, there would be no Juneteenth. So we're excited to be a part of that. We invite everyone to come down. It's a family-friendly event. We're going to have a booth. We're going to be inside because, as you know, it's going to be 170 degrees probably. So we look forward to actually entertaining the people. Look for all of you to come down and support your local ARC, support AZGOP, support America, support President Trump, support one another.
And we'll to give you more information about that a little later on in the show too. And speaking of that, what's happening on Tuesday is we're going to have Trump 2020 parties. Going to be all over. If you are in the area of the AZGOP, come on down here. We're at 3501 North 24th Street.
They're gonna have it here too.
They're going to have one here in the afternoon. RLD 27 in the South Mountain area, we're going to have one. If you're interested in that, why don't you contact me, because we don't want to give an address out unless you're a serious Republican. You know, we have to play security in these days. But you can email me, and that's alice@chipsletterandsalsashow.com, and I'll put you in touch with the right people. So that's going to be a lot of fun, and that party's going to be, it's a potluck, and it's going to start at 4 o'clock, because Fox News is going to have their live broadcast at 5 p.m. So that's going to be President Trump's 2020 re-election announcement watch party. They're everywhere. Have your own. If you can't go to one, have one at your house. Invite some neighbors over and do that. Because, you know, this Latino's going to vote for Trump. I think
This Latino's gonna vote for Trump.
His brother's gonna vote for Trump, as
Yeah.
Reverend knows. You got to have some more Trump. We need 4 more years of good jobs. We need 4 more years of America realizing that the way they can be great again is to vote for President Trump.
Absolutely.
Reverend, when Trump first ran, he was a candidate with 17 other candidates. What was your feeling at that time towards Trump? And I know things have changed and everybody's for Trump now, but what was your feeling? Did you have your doubts? A lot of people had their doubts because they were going for Cruz, they were going for Rubio. Some of them were going for Jeb Bush, but that fell off the cliff real quick. So it was Rubio and Cruz, and then it was Cruz and Trump.
I picked Trump for the presidency, and I put it out in an email and let all my friends know that as soon as I saw what he said about immigration at the Phoenix Convention Center, I said, this man is going to or can very well be president. I had never seen the silent majority so fired up.
Yeah.
And who comes to mind is everybody remembers the late, great Ron Harders. He was on fire. And I said, you know, Ron, it's very instructive for me to listen to you because you're the fellow saying that no one ever listens to you. And now you've got somebody and you've got his ear and he's telling you the sorts of things that we need to hear about immigration. Right then I knew, and then coming from the Northeast and being one of those sorts of guys who knows how to talk to the other guy and make him kind of feel badly about himself, well, President Trump is a master
And
at
don't
making these guys feel just how they need to feel and who
looking
they
at-
are. It's
and
very
looking at-
small.
Looking at it today,
Mhm.
more people are more gravitated towards him now. I think a lot of people like him. It showed 88% Republicans are supporting him in the Republican ticket.
That's absolutely true, and I think that all of us have become more enamored of what he's done. We don't say he's a perfect human being. We realize he doesn't have that background. His background is in business. It's hard-nosed New York business, which is, you know, with New York being what New York is, I imagine it would be hard-nosed business. But we come to realize that when he talks with these other countries and reminds those other countries of how they have taken advantage of us, I think he's right on the money to do what he's doing. I think he's right with China. I think he's right with Mexico. I think how to make America great again is to stand up and say, number one declaration, we are great, and this is the road to greatness.
I think you're so right, and I was just having this conversation with my husband the other night, because there's still some people who, oh my gosh, you know, his style and the way he talks and all these things, and face it, this man has not been a politician all his life, like a lot of politicians that we know. And he is not perfect. But the great example that my husband likes to use is you need brain surgery, right? So you've got a brain surgeon over here that maybe he's not, such a perfect guy. Maybe he's had an affair. Maybe he's a divorced guy. Maybe he's not perfect. And then you have Mr. Polite Man, who never has done anything wrong in his life. But the superior brain surgeon is the one with faults. Well, who do you want to operate on you? Sorry, I want the one that's going to do the best job, the one that you can rely on.
And the polls had Hillary, even on election day, they had her winning by a landslide.
Well, allow me to quote from Mark Twain, if I may. He said, "You got lies, damn lies, and statistics."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we didn't pay much attention to that because this guy, when he stood with the others, he just stood out. And you have to remember, of course, that we can't say enough for the effect of his shows, his celebrity, his name recognition. Donald Trump. I still see movies from the 70s and the 80s, and it was almost like you couldn't make certain movies without mentioning Donald Trump. I mean, they would be like, "Oh, you put Donald Trump down here because that gives it that, what would Donald Trump say?" Well, Donald Trump said, and I'm like, this is 1975, 1985. The guy's been around a long time, but we just didn't see him coming, and he kind of snuck up on a lot of people, and as each commercial came, we all remember election night, after every commercial, I would see the smiles of the Democrats get a little less, get a little less, get a little less, and turn into tears.
Depression.
Yeah, from depression to
it's
tears.
funny to watch the election night on. They have a video that they play, and they show the election night results on CNN, and it's like they're calling it for Hillary, and then all of a sudden, it just as the day goes by, it just gets worse and worse, and the numbers for Trump goes up, and then they're watching Florida, and they kept saying, if Florida goes, then he's going to take it, but no, Florida, we got Florida. And man, it's so funny to watch because it is. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think it's going to be a lot different this time around. I think he's going to start wiping them out, the states, and it's going to be a landslide.
I'm looking at it that way. I haven't seen anything among the Democrats to indicate that they actually want to win. I think they want to take the position of blaming him for everything.
Yep.
and that's something that's a strategy.
That's
I
the
mean,
only
Joe
way.
Biden, from Joe Biden to, it looked like a rogues gallery when I saw it on television last night. I'm like, oh, who's Marianne Williamson? They added a couple of more people I never heard of.
I don't even know that name, really.
Right. So, but she wrote some books or something as I ran it down, because I want to be in the loop about these guys. But those pictures will continue, will start to blur, and it's really early. And I just don't see. He's the incumbent. I just don't see them having anything that they can really do to him. Impeachment would be disaster for them, I think, if they tried.
Well, the big laugh we talked about before the show is Joe Biden. There's a video going around that he said he is so proud because during the Obama administration it was scandal free. And I thought, man, is that giving us some ammo or for what? Is that awesome? That's great. Just the hits, they just keep on coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's do a little turn here because I want to focus on the Rev and his stuff first, and then we'll come back. We'll do some more politics. We got the cocotazos, we got those back, the whole enchiladas. So it's going to be a really fun show. I think George is going to be monitoring the Facebook. Can you do that from your computer? So if you want to talk to us, please do it that way. It's Chips, letter N, Salsa Show. You might be watching us on YouTube, and that's great also. So let me tell you a little bit about our good friend, Reverend Clyde Bowen. He's been the chairman of the Arizona American African Republican Committee since 2005. So that's ARC, A-A-A-R-C. How do you like that? AAA. He is a recipient of the AZGOP Abraham Lincoln Award. He served our country as a United States Air Force 10-year military police veteran. Thank you very much, sir.
My
Appreciate
pleasure.
that. He was a SWAT team leader and was chosen to represent the United States of America at the American Embassy in Oslo, Norway.
First black person ever in
Ever.
history. They had 500,000 people. They had 10 black people, and I was the only American in the city. I did not see another dark face of any color for the first 6 months I was there. I don't know anyone who can match that.
Wow.
And that's I was the first one. I got there 2 years after Martin Luther King got his Nobel Peace Award in Oslo.
That's history. That's
They
awesome.
put me there. Yeah, made history.
He's a past president of Scottsdale Western Sages Toastmasters.
Also a first
Please
black
speak.
president of Scottsdale Toastmasters in the history of Scottsdale.
He's
Yeah,
number
firsty.
one. Reverend Bowen was Volunteer of the Year for both Greater Phoenix Youth at Risk Foundation, it's now New Pathways, and Sun Sounds of Arizona, which I volunteered there for 10 years.
Oh,
A reading service for the print
well, Johnny
disabled.
too. She was 17 years. I was 25.
I remember Johnny. This was back, I think I was still working at the radio station. That's in the late 90s.
Yeah, we were there up until we both.
Yeah, that was a lot of
Loved it.
fun. I did
Mhm.
Touching the Future. That
Oh,
show, Touching the
okay.
Future, yeah. So that's, they're still going strong.
They're still
We should
going
have them on
strong,
sometime.
and
We
you
should.
should. We become friends with them. My engineer, her name is Margie Parrish now. It was Margie Zebal then, but we've just
She's
had
still-
a
is
good
Margie still there?
relationship. Margie still goes down there kind of as a volunteer, but Jeannie Ost and Jim Ost is still on the crew, and they've been there a very, very long time. And Margie, matter of fact, I'm supposed to see Margie tomorrow. We're going to get together with them and just break a little bread. And we still have friends among the Sun Sounds people. That was one of the greatest experiences for me. I just, when I got out of the Air Force, I wanted to give something back to the community, and I thought, well, the only thing I know how to do is write, other than be like a cop or something, And so I went down there to read books, and they said, "Oh, we don't do books, we do magazines." I said, "Well, that's even better because it's more current, huh?" They said, "Yeah, we'll try you out." Once again, I was there for 25 years, and you were there, and you can imagine how many people we saw of color coming through there. But I managed to get Silver Mike Award and all kinds of stuff, and it was just really fun.
It's a great organization.
Great
Tony,
organization.
what's Tony's last name?
Yeah.
He had that great voice. I can't think of his last name.
I know the baritone because they gave me a show on Sunday, a talk show. I did the Sunday talk show.
Sun Talk?
Sun Talk.
I did the
Thank
Sun
you.
Talk also.
Yeah,
We
Sun
never
Talk.
saw each other 'cause we did
No, you
alternate
were always
Sundays.
going back and forth. But
Oh,
yeah,
that's so
Tony the
funny.
Tiger. He was my engineer for that.
Oh gosh, okay, we'll remember
Yeah,
his
we'll
name.
get
before.
his
He's-
name. Yeah,
He's not with us
Margie
any
will know.
longer.
Right? No, I remember he passed away, and
Awesome.
I used to wear leather pants back in the day. I was a stand-up comedian. I worked with Glenn Campbell and David Spade and people like that, and I had these black leather pants, and I didn't think much about them except that they were like butter. But he could not touch them enough because he couldn't see, and they're
He
so
liked 'em.
folks are so tactile, and he would just, and I'd say, please,
Tony was great. Please
Yeah,
say
Tony's a
hello
great
to
human
Margie
being.
for me.
I will.
I need
I'll
to
tell her,
have
yeah,
coffee
yeah.
with her or something sometime.
Yeah, she's
We
going
need-
strong.
Tell her, would love to have her on the show. You guys should come on together. That'd be really fun.
That'd be super.
That'd be
A
fun.
kind of a Sun Sounds kind of thing. Isn't that funny? We have that
I
connection.
didn't know that. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So he also, Reverend Bowen's volunteer committee also created the annual Emancipation Proclamation Observance Day, EPOD,
EPOD.
Arizona Official Black History Month event, and it's now in its 6th year? This is
Well, we're
seven.
going on 8. Yeah,
Is this-
yeah,
so this is
7th year.
old.
This was
Need to
yeah,
update this.
that was 2017. We'll update that. Right. I mean, time does. I grabbed it out of the computer.
And we're going to talk about that also later. That's
Mhm.
really cool. We've been a part of that. That's really nice. We hope to do that this year. I couldn't do
I
it last year.
hope to see you guys there
Or
because it's
I
going to
couldn't do
be
it this year, I should say, but for
gigantic.
2020. We got it.
Mhm.
2020 is going to be big. Reverend Bowen was honored to deliver the invocation on the floor of the Arizona State Senate in 2016. He is a current.
courtesy of Dr. Kelly Ward, who saw me at Anthem and saw me speak and said, "Would you like to do? I'm so impressed with your speaking. Would you like to do the invocation on the floor of the Senate?" I said, "Well, of course." And then I told him how when I was thrown out of every school in Massachusetts, and the headmaster told me, he said, "You're a hoodlum and you're a thug and you'll never amount to anything." And I said, "This invocation is for him."
Oh,
gave the
nice.
invocation.
Nice. That's great. He is a current precinct committeeman in LD 28. The ARC believes, and again, that's Arizona American African Republican Committee, in being American first. The ARC is committed to the proposition of inclusion, education, and action for a better Arizona. Wow. Okay, so now you know a lot about Reverend Clyde Bowen.
Yes.
And we keep finding out stuff about you. What else are you hiding, huh?
Well, a Leo has 9 lives, and so I've had a few. So that was some of the things that I've done. I did want to mention, because we mentioned Trump 2020, one of the things that we will be doing, if I may say, about Juneteenth, is that President Trump has distributed a brochure called Make America Great Again, and it's Make Black America Great Again, exposing how modern day Jim Crow Democrats are keeping black Americans under heel and how Trump's conservative agenda will set them free. So we're going to share this information with many, many Democrats who do not realize, and they have this term woke, but I don't think
I
they're
don't like
woke.
that.
Because I said back in 2006, my mantra was wake up, get up, stand up for America. And now they're talking about they're woke, and I don't think they are. But one thing that is in here that I find very interesting is they talk about the enterprise zones and the opportunity zones
Sure.
that he
I
has
remember
created in the smaller cities. And when I interviewed Herman Cain, he mentioned that that was one of the things that he was going to look into. So I'm so glad that President Trump picked up on this kind of thing. And so we're just going to give people a little information about
So can you
him.
get us Herman Cain to the show?
And we're going
Come
to look at Herman Cain, and we're looking at Edwin Meese for EPOD 8, the great ex-attorney general. And we got some folks under that we're thinking of talking to. You know, Michael Steele, when he was RNC chairman, he came here, and we asked him about putting a presence in South Phoenix. And he actually helped me take a look at South Phoenix as a place that we could have a presence, and that's what kind of sort of started EPOD. We looked at this and we saw the opportunity. We said, oh, it's Emancipation Proclamation, 150 years. They came up from Tucson, NPR came up from Tucson and told us they had forgotten it was the 150th year of the Emancipation Proclamation. I said, I don't know why we give short shrift to this particular holiday. I think it's this particular observance is more important than you might imagine. So we intend to spread the word and let people know about what we're up to. And so out of what Michael Steele said, every year, as you know, we go down to East Lake Park, right in the middle of the Democrat Society, and we put on the Emancipation Proclamation to just remind them of who we are and remind them of who they are and remind them of how they got to be who they are. And it's not the fault of the Republicans. It is absolutely, positively the fault of the Democrats.
Yep.
I have a video called Why I Am a Republican, and I talk about it on YouTube. I have a YouTube video that talks about that. And that was one of the reasons I became a Republican, along with personal responsibility. I love that concept.
When is the EPOD date? Do you have a date for that already?
It's going to be February 2020. We have not chosen a date. We're
Nice.
thinking that that's Black History Month. And because we had so many great folks like Dr. Kelly Ward came and Representative Walt Blackman making history as the first black representative in the history of Arizona, Republican legislature. And we think that that's very important. And many, many folks came down. The AZ, I want to give a shout out to the AZ GOP Asian community for supporting the Emancipation Proclamation, for understanding, for getting it, for being there, for helping us, for donating to us. They were outstanding. The different members and folks came from AZGOP, and the LD heads were there. It was just a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for folks to get together and appreciate that particular day.
I encourage everybody out there, if you haven't been to this celebration, to really do it right. And if somebody wants to help you with money or time or ideas, what's the best way that they should reach you?
Well, we're certainly on Facebook, and they can get me through Facebook. Certainly my email is aaarc6@gmail.com. That's a place I can be contacted at. And if you go #ARC Facebook, there's lots and lots of information about what we're up to on that particular Facebook page.
I mean, you have entertainment, you'll get educated, you get to meet so many different people, and it's just fun and vibrant.
Mm.
And do you still have the wreath ceremony?
We still do the wreath ceremony. We found it very interesting because there's a civil rights monument at East Lake Park, and it has all the great civil rights leaders, and they all turned out, of course, to be Democrats. And the greatest civil rights leader of all, the great emancipator himself, is actually not there. So we bring a picture every year of Abraham Lincoln, and this is something that we could all
Isn't
talk
that
about.
sad?
And it's extremely sad with a capital S that we have to bring a picture of the great emancipator to the people whose ancestors he emancipated. And we do that there. We do a wreath ceremony. We took pictures. We had folks talk. We had someone from the Democrat community representing the governor's African American Council, of which we used to be a part of back in the day. And he, Mr. Mel Hanna spoke. And it was a great opportunity. Then we went and we did the Emancipation Proclamation. And like you said, every year we have entertainment and we have singing, and we've had folks like Congressman Schweikert and has been there, and we've had all sorts of dignitaries have been there. We get a governor's proclamation. But this time, I think we'd like to look outside the box and really do something great. Maybe bring some folks in from out of state. My dream is to have a black conservative outreach opportunity in this particular, like a 3-day convention. I looked up the 100 top black conservatives, and I thought, we should get together. We should
There's
network
plenty.
together.
You have plenty, and some are based here also. But you know what? I have an idea. Maybe you've probably thought about this already. If they don't have a picture of our President Lincoln there, maybe the Republican Party should present them with one and donate it.
That might be an opportunity, because the way that it's set up there, they have a kind of a wall, and they have the names on it right now, and we just kind of set the picture up. But we had thought either that or a bust of his head, or something to acknowledge this man. And I'll tell you a really, really quick story. Aldous Huxley, I think the fellow that wrote Brave New World, back in the 1900s, he was actually touring. He would go around as an author, and he would go around and tell stories. So he made it to the Caucasus, which are in Eastern Europe, Western Europe, or somewhere among the mountains. And it was behind a walled-in community. They had a big wall. And inside they had these people that we would consider savages. And so he went to them, and they said, well, tell us some stories. You're Aldous Huxley. And he started telling them about Julius Caesar and all the great ones. And they said, well, no. We don't want to hear about him. We want to hear about the greatest man that ever lived. He said, well, who are you talking about? The man with the voice of thunder. He said, who? President Abraham Lincoln, the greatest man that ever lived. They knew about President Abraham Lincoln in this outpost in the middle of nowhere because of what he had done. And what they told Aldous, Mr. Huxley, was, we don't consider him the greatest general. He wasn't even maybe the greatest president. But what he did, the precedent that he set, was the greatest thing that we ever heard of for freedom.
Oh, that's
So
powerful.
that's and Doris Goodwin actually told that story. She wrote a book about it, and this was part of the stories that she told. When I saw that, I thought, I guess I picked the right horse.
Oh, that's great. That's very cool.
Yeah.
But we want to encourage you all to come out to that, and it's next year, okay? But it's never too early. It takes a lot of planning. Everything that they do. If you have money, if you want to write a check, maybe $20, $100, whatever, to help out with that, great. If you have a talent, like I know last year, Tatiana sang.
Yeah,
Was it
Tatiana
mariachi?
Marie Pena. She did.
sang?
She sang beautiful songs. We had the Asian dancers that danced for us. We had Rosalind Hinton do the the banner. And we're looking to have some really good local entertainment this year. So that's one of the reasons we're starting early. We're giving out the certificates from EPOD 7 of participation to the folks, and that's a way of getting started, because once you go into the September, especially being Trump 2020 coming up, we want to get a good lead on it. So certainly, folks, if you'd like to help, if you'd like to volunteer, get a hold of me.
So that's
once
going to be
again.
EPOD 8, right?
And that's going to be EPOD 8, Emancipation Proclamation Observance Day 8. They thought it would never happen. We almost never got one off the ground. We had a Republican go to all the black Democrats and tell them he was trying to undermine what we did. They're nothing but birthers. They hate you. They hate Obama. They hate themselves. Don't do this. Don't do this. They tried to stop us. We were not stopped by Democrats. We almost got stopped by a Republican.
Oh gosh.
Who went, and I had to go and talk to Calvin C. Good, who is city councilman for 22 years, and it's his stage that we perform on. That's his stage there at East Lake Park. And Georgie's his wife. And he wanted to talk to me about it, and I said, by the time I got through talking to him, he said, no problem. I said,
Great.
it's apples and oranges. I said, we're not talking about President Obama. I said, we're talking about President Abraham Lincoln. We're talking about freedom. We're talking about the universal freedom for all people. We're talking about God's freedom. Emancipation Proclamation comes from the precedent of the Bible. Let my people go. That's what President Lincoln looked at. That's what everybody that thinks slavery is wrong looks at.
And Rev, I think it's even more important now. I can't remember if I posted this on the Chips and Salsa side or just my regular Facebook side, but it was a young man, and he was at our national capitol, and he was in front of the Lincoln Memorial, and he was talking to these different, I'll say young folk. They all looked like they were under. They had to be 25 and under, and he was asking like, okay, well, what president freed the slaves, or who was our first president? They couldn't answer the questions. They couldn't answer. And here he is, just, I don't know, 20 feet away from the Lincoln Memorial. And I said, that's so embarrassing. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh, I don't know. It was, if I did not put it on there, George, remind me and I'll post it. You're really doing an important function.
Well, that's such an important point that you bring up. I was fortunate enough to be in Safeway at 7th Street in Glendale. I ran into Chief Justice Sandra Day O'Connor, right around the corner from the bananas and the grapes. And she's shopping, and I'm shopping. A little bit of both. and I had my picture taken with her when Governor Hall became a governor, because she gave the job to her, however they call it. Swearing in, yes. So I had a picture with her, and I thought, she's not going to remember me, but I said, you're one of my heroes. I said, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I said, you are one of my heroes. And I said, I know this is inappropriate. You're trying to be just a person. I said, I got a quick question for you. What upset you about America more than anything in the world? She said, civics, the loss of civics. They don't have, I said, ownership, right? She said, yeah, ownership. I said, I couldn't agree with you more. I said, I'm a kind of a historian, and my first vice president, Dr. C.T. Wright, got his PhD in history, and I said, we're both crazy for history, and I said, these young people will never be able to do what needs to be done in this country until they know what ownership of this country means. That's what I got 10 years in the military. I was not that guy when I went in, but I was certainly that guy loving America when I came out. And I can guarantee you, if you're in Norway all by yourself for 6 months or so, you will glom on to loving this country, because I had a great opportunity to compare Norway with America, and President Trump was just talking about Norway yesterday, I guess, or something about Norway.
He was right.
Or if Norway came to him and gave him some
Right.
information, that he would certainly
Intel,
take it. Yeah. So I certainly feel strongly about that.
Oh, that's a great story.
Yeah.
It's absolutely a great story. But I'm going to also work, and we're just going to go ahead and say his name. But our good friend James T. Harris did a coffee talk for our women's club recently. So we need to reel him in. He's a history teacher, and we need to get him early and get him out there to be a part of this. So I can't say enough about EPOD. George and I want to be there unless there's something crazy going on in my life. I should be there, and George will be there, and our LD. It's going to be just a really exciting year. So all these things, we have to just get in there and make them happen and help the Rev. You and Johnny, and oh, by the way, it was Johnny's birthday?
Yes, yesterday, June 12th.
Happy birthday, Johnny! You won't believe, I don't know if I'm allowed to say how old she is, but she does not look her age. Wow.
Right, we'll hold on that because of ladies, but let me tell you, it's going on 44 years that we've been together, and people ask us in today's world how you make that happen, and they look at us and they see different colors, and we look at each other and see different colors, but it doesn't mean anything to us, and it never did that way. So we just say, one day at a time, and we've had our challenges, and now people don't pay us much attention, but I can remember back in 1975, we would go certain places and we would get what they call the face, and now the face has smiles on it.
Well,
we sure do appreciate Americans for that.
Even then, it was still like, Latinos didn't really marry white people either. It was still kind
Oh,
of
it
a
was
new
all-
thing, you
yes,
know?
it
Even in the
was- sure,
70s.
sure.
Even I remember that.
Sure.
Have you guys like should write a book about that. I bet you have some really good stories, huh?
Well, I'm working on a book about why we lost the why black people turned Democrat. It was one of the great mysteries to me, because when I grew up, I always told my mother, "You're really a Republican. You just don't know it." I said, you pay your taxes. I said, you don't care that much about our government, you know, where they're really coming from, where you're concerned. I said, you're honest. I said, you're hardworking. I said, you're working 2 jobs. Dad works 3. I got a job and I go to school full time. I said, that sounds pretty Republican to me. So in that vein, we've always grown up in kind of Republican way without knowing it. And the Democrats have always been around us. We were raised in a place called Roxbury. But one thing we were able to do, and this is for LD 27, LD 27 always says, we have 3 Democrats for every Republican. I said, well, you know, I'm from Roxbury. We had 5 Democrats for every Republican, but we elected a man called Edward Brooke. And Edward Brooke became the first black senator since Reconstruction to go to Washington, D.C. And the way that we did it, our message embraced everyone. Our message embraced the Democrats who were not getting what they need, and this is what we need to do now to get the Democrats back. So my book has to do with what happened and then what we can do to get
Hurry up
black
and finish that
Democrats to
book.
understand what's going on. And everybody said to me, this would be a good time for that. This would be a good opportunity for that.
Are you
It
getting
would
close
also
to the
open
end?
doors for me. I've got the outline done and I'm starting to work on it. I'm getting more and more information. But people like Jackie Robinson, Jesse Owens, and right now, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, is a Republican. We've got some prominent Republicans now, and I need them to understand that we need to work together, because where some of us demonize Democrats, my mission has always been to bring them back home. So I'm laying out the red carpet for black, white, brown Democrats, as opposed to, you're the enemy, I can't speak to you. I think I mentioned that when we were talking about purple. We used to be red and blue together, working for the country. Yeah, we were on different sides of the fence, but we were going along the fence like that. Now one side's on one side of the fence, and the Democrats are just completely useless. We're never going to be able to build a country with useless people.
I think
way.
that's a great approach. So I want you to work on that book, and I want you to move into our LD too, okay? Come on, can you work on that? We need you.
Excellent.
But
Yeah,
it's
well, I can sure tell them how it was that we overtook. To be in the minority, you can still overcome. I tell people, when I first went to Oslo, there were 4 people waiting for me, and they didn't know who I was, and they didn't know I was black. So they said they play that game when people get off the plane. No, it's not him. No, I don't think that's him. No, that's a Norski, which is a name for Norwegian. No. Oh my God. Because I was like laughing off the plane, and I had my stuff on, right? And so we just went from there. You know, and I said, yeah, guess who's coming to Smorgasbord? So I went from 4 people when I arrived to 300 people when I left.
Wow.
Were
Wow.
there for me.
Oh,
That's the
that's
effect that
great story.
one person can have, because I was the only one. Everybody wanted to come to me. Well, don't you live in a house with like 7 or 8 other kids in one room, and aren't you all on welfare? I mean, every stereotype that you can think of has been spread about people of color. So I became almost the black ambassador at the same time they had the first woman ambassador to Norway. So when you go, you've got to
Wow.
meet the ambassador, right? You got to go to her house. You got to do this ceremony. So here I am, way down here on the totem pole, super security, but still. And then here she is, first woman, breaking that glass ceiling, and we just kind of looked at each other. And I know we wanted to go like that, but we didn't. You know, but she knew she was the first of her kind, and I was the first of my kind.
You were supposed to be there. You were
Mhm.
supposed to be there. That's such a great story.
Oh, 10,000 people put in for the job, and I got it. I told them it's the only time I ever won the lottery, because the other part of it is my entire wing from March Air Force Base went to Vietnam, and
Wow.
I went the other way, and I was the most hated man on the base because of
'Cause you got
that.
to
And
go.
everybody said to me, who are your parents? It must be somebody. I said, they're nobody. I said, my father works in a bar, and my mother's a stitcher. I said, I'm just a regular trooper. I said, the fact that I scored 95 out of 100 on the test, I said, that might have something to do with it. The fact that I'm so much sharper and smarter than you guys, maybe that had a little bit to do with it.
Good for you.
So that was, so I was really fortunate, and I looked to myself for having the courage to actually put in for it. A lot of guys talked about wanting to put in for those kinds of places, and when I said, let's go do it, they said no. I said, no, we're talking about it. Let's go over and we'll go to special ops and we just put in for these different places. I mean, that's how you get there. Oh, no, I bet everybody's already put in for it. I said, you guys remind me of the guy sitting on the fence when a pretty girl goes by, and everybody goes, oh, I'd like to date that, or I'd like to whatever that, and they go, oh, no, I bet you got 100 guys. I said, I bet you don't got nobody, because everybody's saying the same thing you got. 3 weeks later, I got my orders. Usually you don't get them for 3 months to 6
Wow.
months. 3 weeks later, they said, Bowen, you're going to Oslo, Norway, you're going to the American Embassy, you're going to a special assignment, and I went there, and I was there almost 4 years, and we sold planes to the Norwegians. That was the main part of the mission, and some other top secret stuff I can't talk about.
Can't talk about it or he'd have to kill us. Listen, I want to take a little break right now and just remind you, if you just tuned in, you're watching the Chips and Salsa Show. We're here every Thursday. We start at 6 p.m. Arizona time. I'm Alice Lara, and my co-host,
Don Jorge Alacran.
and Don Jorge is here, and we're talking to our wonderful special guest, Reverend Clyde Bowen. He's talking about Juneteenth. He's talking about his most awesome life that he's had. But I want to talk a little bit of politics. Okay, so we talked about Juneteenth. We talked about EPOD 2020. I want to ask you about this story. The Episcopalian Church, the diocese, has voted to stop using the masculine pronouns for God. And I thought that was really interesting. I said, I got to ask the Rev about this and see what he thinks. And so, did you read the story?
I did. I got the information, and I have some of it here. And let me begin by saying that I am not an Episcopal pastor. I am Christian, non-denominational, and so I'm, like a lot of folks, kind of looking at it from the outside, sort of in the inside, being part of the religious community. When I first heard the story, when I first got the information from you, I immediately thought probably what most people are thinking, because we seem to be in a sort of a gender revolution. And maybe we've always been in a gender revolution of some kind, that we've always put a person into a box. You are this person, you have to be this way, you have to do this. You are a woman, you have to be this way, you have to do this, and that's it. That's it. And we're going to do everything we can to make it be that way. And then somebody said, no, I don't feel like that. Well, what is the definition of freedom? Am I free to be another person, or am I not? So I thought, oh, it's just some gender stuff. And I thought, well, the church is probably trying to be relevant, and this is what we have. And then I looked up the word, which is Al Shaddai, which is the genesis of this idea. That they went back and they looked at the Bible like most of us do, and they said the word Al Shaddai, which is where this comes from, refers to Abraham speaking to God and said, what shall I call you? What is your name? And God said, I am Al Shaddai. Well, the literal translation, or after you get through the layers of translation, is God with breasts. So what does that mean? Does that mean literally God with breasts? Does that mean the bosom of God? It's so hard after 2,000 years to figure these sorts of things out. And what I came down with is that at the end of the day, in the world that we live in, it reminds me of a friend of mine whose daughter got married, but she had the baby last year. And she said she did it backwards. She just got married last year, had the baby this year. I said, look, in today's life, if you love somebody and somebody loves you, don't let nobody tell you, don't let nobody stop you. So if you're a religious person and you believe in God and you live the 10 Commandments and you live as a righteous man or a righteous woman, I'm just able to let other people really wrestle with the 1,000 names of God. I had somebody tell me that was a Republican, oh, well, the Muslims got a different God from us. I said, there's only one God, and there are many interpretations of what that God has said. They're not two gods, a Muslim God and a Christian God. There's only ever been one entity that is responsible for everything you see, the whole of the universe, places we don't even know about, and here we are here arguing about that. So my point would be, how do we get people back to church? How do we get people to be spiritual? How do we make America great again that way? And while we argue about whether God had breasts, whether they were big uns or whatever, we can just be about loving one another and living the golden rule.
We didn't even wake up Jordan with that one. Okay. Okay,
Well, I
well,
thought about that because Al Bundy and the old
I know,
Married with
the
Children,
big
you're
uns.
right, with the big yeah, God, you know.
Well, I had to ask you about that.
Yeah, so that's how I kind of feel about that. And I will continue to research and continue to be open-minded about the issues of religion.
But see,
as a
that's
pastor,
good because you're
fall
taking
temptation.
that opportunity, and we do lack in that. We do, you know, when I go to Mass, it used to be, and I've talked about this on the air before, most of the church was filled with families. And now that's more the exception to the rule.
Mhm.
It's the families are more rare. And I'm talking about, you know, mom might come with her daughters and dad might come with his daughters and sons, but to see the intact families, it's more rare. It's more rare than it used to be. So we've got to get back to that. So at least you're going with an approach, you know, how do we do that? I know you're always solution oriented and you're thinking, okay, here's what we can do. Here's something we can do. So I salute you for that.
Well, thank you. It stems from the idea that I think love really is the answer. It sounds like a cliche, but after 44 years of loving and having the opportunity to hate, love definitely is better. Right. And it's one of those things that once again I'll just go back to President Abraham Lincoln is that love will come hate. The best way to make an enemy your friend is to give them love instead of scorn. I see so much scorn, I see so much hatred, I see so much denigration of the other points of views. Other side. You don't agree with me, you know. It's like I asked somebody one time if I could go to a Trunk and Tusk meeting, and they said, "Oh, certainly, if you believe like I believe." I said, "Well, wouldn't you want me to come in, especially if I didn't believe what
yeah.
you?" And I just looked at the person. I said, "Well, I happen actually to believe what you believe, but I would think that if I didn't, this would be an opportunity for you to get somebody that wants to take a look." So. That's it.
And give them.
Mm-hmm.
I know we want to talk about elder abuse, so let's hit the whole enchiladas and the cocotazos real quick,
Mm-hmm.
and then we can talk about Elder Abuse Day. How's that?
Oh, perfect.
Okay,
Perfect
so
way
we
to-
haven't done this in a while, ladies and gentlemen, right? And it's not going to be complete because we don't. Our producer, Miss Sonia, who's Secret Sonia, I want to give her some kudos. She's busy. She's busy doing some other things, so we're trying to reel her back in. But one of the whole enchiladas that I saw out there, George, was Gary Sinise flies 1,000 children of fallen U.S. soldiers to Disney World. Very cool. Very
Wow.
cool. Oh, and should explain what that is, so we haven't done it for a while. Whole enchiladas, we think someone has done something really terrific and great, so we want to acknowledge them for it. So we do little different nominations and we pick the best one. And then a cocotazo is, George explains that all the time.
When you say something dumb or bad, your mom used to hit you, or in the Puerto Rican tradition, they used to kind of hit you in the back of your head and give you a little tap.
Yeah, I thought that was a black tradition when my
I
father
know.
was hitting me. He must,
I know.
Oh, wow, okay.
It's a brown.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. You even see it in,
City tradition.
I think CSI has it where the lieutenant, he taps them in the back when they say something dumb.
Mhm.
So I mean it's
But I just
that's
love
what we
that
call-
word. I
that's
found
what they
it.
call cocotazo.
I found it a couple
Cocotazo.
years ago on Facebook, and George is a Puerto Rican thing, and George told me about it. And ours is
Yep.
in the Mexican culture, chanclazo, where mom takes her slipper off or her.
Yeah, they
her
throw a slipper
flip-flop.
across the room.
Now-
The grandmother will throw a slipper across the room, and they were pretty good with those
Pretty good with the
slippers.
slippers.
Mhm.
And I always joke that it didn't happen to me because all my dad had to do was just look at his belt. We'd behave. That's all he had to do.
Yeah.
Have it through
The
it. So that's
chanclazo is what we call it. It's when the grandma used to take the slipper off and throw it from one side of the room. You know, if you said something stupid or that she didn't like, it would, the slipper would hit its.
probably hit you in the head. But she was really good. So the other whole enchilada that I have is KOLD, and I should have written down where that was from. But they are starting to begin their broadcast daily with the national anthem. And, you know, I miss that. Remember when they used to sign off on TV and they
That
had
was the first thing
First
I thought
flight?
about when
First
you
flight?
told me about it. Yeah, that
Yeah.
they used to show the planes, and I kissed
that.
the touch the
Saw
face
the
of
face of
God.
God,
Yeah,
yeah.
touch the
Yeah.
face of God, and
I
then
miss-
and it would go off, and then now it's 24/7, 365. That's
Yeah.
a great way to get back to what we need to get back to, and it's what I was talking about when I said we need to get back to more spirituality. We need to appreciate who we are as people. We need to appreciate God, and we need to fight against propaganda that we see that's against that. And it is sad that you said the nuclear family is breaking down at mass, because I remember that when we went, it was a family thing, and for whatever reason, many reasons, the family's not what it used to be, and we've separated the family. We used to rely on the older people. We're going to talk about elder abuse and why it's so important, but that's a part
That's
of it.
part
It's
of it.
because we've been separated out. The ones that can't make it to the golf courses that are old for whatever reason, then they go places that are not very nice.
Yeah, so we'll continue with that.
Sure.
And then the other whole enchilada nomination that we have, and this is actually from 2016, but I don't think it's ever too late to do that. Well, actually, there's one. Did you see the story about the young men that saved the elder lady out of her house?
The what?
They went. I think she was. I don't know if she was in her 90s or something. All of this is on our Facebook page. And so there were 4 young men, and they saw her, and they rescued her from her It was her burning house, I think.
Yeah, I saw the story. I
Right.
thought it was really touching.
I thought that was a great story. And then the last one that I have is old. It's from 2016, but evidently there was a janitor at U.S. Air Force Academy, so he's U.S. Air Force, and nobody knew, but he was a war hero from 1943 in World War II, and he had been a janitor there, and he was a Medal of Honor guy.
Oh, that's a
So,
story.
isn't
Wait,
Yeah,
that
he.
happened?
I read the story today. He, the cadets never knew that he was a Medal of Honor, and he was a janitor. And one of the cadets was reading the story, was doing research on what is it, World War II,
World War II.
and came across his name, and he approached him with the research, and he said, "Is this you?" And this guy was so humble. He never talked about his Medal of Honor, but he goes, "That was a long time ago," and he relayed it to the cadet, so they knew it was him. So, but he did tell him. He says, "I never received the Medal of Honor myself. My dad received it in my place because he was." They presumed he was presumed dead because he had rushed the hill, killed a bunch of Germans and stuff, and they thought he got captured by the Germans, but they thought he had gotten killed. So his father was given the Medal of Honor in
What do they
his
call it?
sister's.
Usually.
Yeah,
Mhm.
what they-
yeah,
they-
posthumous
Yeah.
music, yeah.
So what happened is Reagan, they wanted to do something for him. So when Reagan came to do a commencement speech at
The Academy.
the academy, they arranged for Reagan to pin the Medal of Honor on him, and he got awarded that. He ended up being a master sergeant before he retired, and then started janitor work, and he died at 81. And he's the only person buried at that academy for Air Force as an Army. He's an Army. There's Army veteran that's ever been buried there. It's always Air Force.
Right, Air Force.
So the story is really
What a
touching.
great story.
Oh yeah.
It was a great story. And,
And-
go on. I don't know if I put it on the fan page or the friends
Yeah, I
page.
saw it.
but
I read it today. I thought it was a good story. I was touched by that one.
it was awesome. So anyway, those are our whole enchilada nominees, and I mean, I just love that story so much that that's the one that I would pick.
I would
even-
pick that one.
I would
Yeah.
definitely go. I'm sorry, I'm biased. 10
Air
years
Force.
in the Air Force, I'm like broken to the wheel.
And they're all great stories, and that's always a point. We want to, it seems like we get so much negative stuff. We like to do the
Mhm.
positive things. So way to go.
Well, good for you.
And he was
for
so
the
humble.
Positivity too.
He was so humble. He never talked about it until that cadet brought it up, and then he would only talk about it in groups and tell them about the story, how he rushed the hill and stuff.
Mhm.
But he was always humble. They said he never bragged about it. He was and he got a job at the academy as a janitor
It's
for
just-
all those years, and he
awesome.
never said anything. To nobody.
WW2 is so interesting
Yeah.
because my father was the same way. I couldn't pry
They
any
never. My dad
information
too.
out of
They
him
could
about.
never talk about
He
it.
was part of the Red Ball Express, and he raced with General Patton to Germany, right? And he got a Purple Heart, and I have his Purple Heart. but I couldn't get him to say, and I know that he came back and he just was not the same man for a lot of different reasons, and he became a man who drank, and he passed away at 52 because of alcoholism related, and something he saw, something just kind of changed him. And I tell people that if you think war is great, talk to real warriors. Real warriors never want to fight. We considered ourselves, of course, you see our pictures, to be real warriors. What real warriors want to do is party. Can't party, we'll fight.
That's true. I always remember too, my dad would say, the real heroes are the ones that didn't make it back. He would say that.
Yeah, well, in talking about tomorrow being Flag Day, I remember I gave the allegiance to the flag, and I told we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance when I became the first black Toastmaster president. I was at one of these competitions, and I told them, I said, we kind of do the allegiance, and it's kind of something that we do, but we don't seem to feel it. And I said the reason I feel it is because I remember the 6 o'clock news during the Vietnam War, and all I remember is that they would bring back brave men and women, and they would cover them with American flags. So for Flag Day tomorrow, and I know we're having some troubles over there around Iran and stuff, I just pray that we're not looking for another war, because I don't want to see those flags on those coffins.
And remember
again.
Every night on the news, it was like a count.
Yeah,
They give
yeah,
you a body count.
yeah. It was body count. Yeah, it was
Remember?
all body count, and then they stopped showing us those pictures. We didn't see them from Afghanistan, and for whatever reason, we don't seem to be in the loop that there are people, I guess, in Afghanistan that are still fighting wherever we are. And I think we need to know. We should know. And when we do the flag tomorrow, everybody. Have respect for those folks. Have respect for our veterans. We're going to do from Emancipation Proclamation 8, we're going to put in a component for veterans. We're going to do a special section for veterans, because not only as a veteran, and my parents and cousins and everybody, but everybody I know. And Johnny's father was in Germany, and he was in Korea, and lots and lots of folks have served. And I think that, along with what we're going to say about elder abuse, I think the next group of people is definitely our veterans, and our veterans always need to be observed. And I actually judge a country by how they treat their veterans.
Absolutely.
And their elderly, so we can talk about that.
Absolutely. So we're going to do the cocotazos real quick,
Right.
and then we're going to do the elder abuse.
Okay.
So for cocotazos, here's what I got, George, and if I'm leaving something out, let me know. I had to put in Joe Biden, who says, I am so proud because for all our 8 years, no hint of scandal. Okay, that's my nominee number one. Also, Megan Rapinoe, I might be mispronouncing her name. She was slammed after ignoring the national anthem. It's kind of her big finger to Trump, I'll just say that. Then there was also a story, Pedro Carranza, the phony paralegal. He was targeting Latinos, and he defrauded dozens in San Bernardino, Riverside. I mean, those are the quick ones. I'm sure there's more than that. But I want to choose, out of that, I'm going to choose Joe Biden. And I think it's great, though, because for him to do that and try to say that administration was scandal-free, all it does, it gives us Republicans more ammo. It really does. So that's my pick. What's your pick, Red?
I'm going to agree with you on Joe Biden, because I want the spotlight to be put on Joe Biden, number one, so that we understand who he is and who he was. And I haven't forgotten 1994 and those draconian laws that they put forth, and a lot of brothers and sisters went to jail that probably didn't have to, and got sentences that were draconian. And the fact that I still have never and will never forgive Obama for droning people just based on their name and saying that he could without a trial. I mean, I don't care how bad it gets. We still need to be a rule of law. So I will agree on, and I laugh at the idea that there was no scandal.
I know.
So.
It was pretty funny.
I agree.
Saint
on
Jean?
that.
So it's unanimous, yeah. So anyways, we
Unanimous.
brought back the Cookhouse Puzzle Sauce. We're going to try to keep doing it every week, along with starting at 6. So now our last part of the show, we want to talk about elder abuse. Very, very important. And I'm going to just toss it over to you, sir.
Elder abuse is a problem, I'm sure, throughout the world and throughout America. We have abuse issues of older people. I've experienced it in my family Johnny has experienced it in her family. There were issues with her mother, and she was abused. Many people. Arizona is a retirement area, which means you have lots and lots of older people here, and lots of these people are vulnerable. And what people will do is build relationships and form friendships, and that's what happened with Johnny's mother, who lived to be 104. A man came in, and first he was a plumber, and then his wife came in, and then they became friends, and then they kind of took her over, and when we would call, they would hang up the phone and say, see, no one cares about you.
Wow.
No one ever calls
You lived out of state.
And we were, well, she lived in Bisbee and we lived in Phoenix.
Okay, out of
but
town.
the other relatives did live out of state. And a couple of times we had gone down there to see what was up. And once we realized that there were some issues, and then she was passed away, and that's when we began that particular fight. And that's when we realized that there were those kinds of issues, that there were people who would go from person to person, and the person who tried to take advantage of Johnny's mother, whose name was Johnny, was a person who had done the same thing in New York. And they had gotten caught in New York, and so they just came out of Arizona, and they resumed the same idea. I'm going to help you. I'm your friend. I'm your best friend. No one cares about you. I isolate you. I take you everywhere. I take you to the doctor. I take advantage of you. So we are going to be giving out information from the Department of Economic Security, Division of Aging and Adult Services, and they investigate abuse, neglect, exploitation of Arizona's vulnerable adults. So if you see something, say something. You can call 1-877-SOS-ADULT, which is 767-2385. In any event, we're all getting older. We all have parents. I ask people, like they talk about the children, have you checked on your parents today? Because you never know how long we've got in this particular world. We're more than happy to do it, by the way. We're more than proud to do it. We're more than happy to represent the Republican Party, and I know we're about the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, but I also want us to be about the human side of human beings, the social side of what it means to have to live in this particular world. So we're going to share that with folks, and we're just great, happy.
That's
to be doing
terrific.
that.
Okay, now tell us again where you're going to be Saturday.
We're going to be at the Juneteenth celebration, and it's also World Elder Abuse Day. And it's going to be at East Lake Park, and that's 1549 East Jefferson Street, Phoenix, Arizona, I believe 85016. We'll be there from 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock. We've been awarded a booth inside, and you won't have any trouble finding us because Executive Director Leslie gave us lots and lots of great information so that we'll be able to be seen and pass out a lot of great information to the folks of Arizona. So come on down, bring the children, and bring your camera.
And if you can't make it, tell everybody about it. We'll put the poster up on our Facebook side, and just go down there. I mean, maybe you want to stop by for a few minutes. That's fine. Do that, and go look for Johnny and for the Rev, and anything else. Give them information. If you have a guest suggestion for us, give it to them, and they'll tell us. We don't have a booth down there unless George goes down there and creates one. I don't know.
May I leave you with a quote?
Please.
Here's one, of course, President Abraham Lincoln, all persons held as slaves within rebellion states are free. That's emancipation. But Frederick Douglass said there is not a man beneath the canopy of heaven who does not know that slavery is wrong. Harriet Tubman, now I have been free. I know what a dreadful condition slavery is. I've seen hundreds of escaped slaves, but I never saw one who was willing to go back and be a slave. We have slavery then, we have slavery now, we have issues of immigration. I tell everybody, let's get business into this mix, because business is part of the problem with immigration.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm also going to tell you, I'm going to put these pictures on Facebook, and they're from when he was in the military, and you were a military policeman, right?
I was a military policeman. We were at Goose Bay, Labrador. It was during the Cuban Missile Crisis, and any of you that have seen Game of Thrones will recognize that those pictures are kind of a modern day Watchers on the Wall, because we were so far north. That's exactly how we felt. Up to 35 below zero, lots and lots of snow. Goose Bay, Labrador.
And I just want to tell you, Chips and Salsa Show our mission, the reason that we exist, George and I used to be Democrats. Were you ever a Democrat?
No.
Never. Okay, we were Democrats, but now we're Republicans. But it's to show you that Latinos, just because you're Latino and you have Portuguese in you, doesn't mean you're a Democrat. There's a lot of us that are Republicans. And the Rev brought in a beautiful picture. This is
This is my mother, Felipa,
very pretty.
and she was just the matriarch of the family, the last of her kind, the last of her generation, and she's missed every day. And if you ever have anything positive to say about me, it's because of her.
Felipa Garcia Fonseca Bowen, May 26, 1922, November 23rd, 2014. So yeah, so
Yeah.
she's will be my dad's age. My
Uh-huh.
dad was 1922, but in July. So beautiful, beautiful woman, and
Oh,
I-
and one last thing too. Pay attention to cancer, please. My mom passed away because of lung cancer. She went 2 out of 3 rounds. She won the first 2 rounds. She lost the last round. People didn't pick up on the idea that if you get lung cancer, you can get breast cancer. If you get breast cancer, you can get lung cancer. So that's the other thing you want to pay attention to as we get older. We have the ability to live a lot longer than they're telling us, folks. And so let's concentrate on staying around here and helping out the young ones. Amen.
that's a
And
great way
don't
to
and
end.
don't believe what Biden said is that he's gonna find the cure.
That
to
he's going to
cancer.
find the cure to cancer.
No, not that part.
Yeah, that's another
We'll
one.
find the cure to cancer. Everybody working together, but not because of Biden being president. That's all.
That's
I have to
right.
say.
Yeah.
I want to
And,
wish a happy Father's Day to the dads here. Happy Father's Day.
Thank
Happy
you.
Father's Day.
Thank you so much. That's right.
Everybody
Sunday
out
is
there.
Father's Day.
And watch your kids around water. Don't leave your kids unattended in your vehicles or your pets. Don't drink and drive, and don't text and drive.
And remember what Muhammad Ali said. Hating people because of the color of their skin is wrong. It doesn't matter which color does the hating, it's wrong. That from Muhammad Ali, a good Republican.
Muhammad Ali was a Republican.
Yes.
There you go.
But what about Martin Luther King?
Martin
Don't
Luther
judge
King.
people by the color of their skin.
Content
By
of the character.
And he was a Republican.
And he was Republican. His father was Republican. And he was Republican-ish, but his daughter is really heavy into the pro-life
Alveda.
arena. Yeah, Alveda.
Yeah, she
So,
sure is.
And Dr. Wright went to school with Coretta Scott King.
We need to have
Martin Luther
Dr.
King.
Wright
You
in
need
here.
to get Dr.
Wasn't
Wright to
Abraham
come
Lincoln
in.
a Republican?
Abraham
Oh
Lincoln.
yes, he started the Republican Party.
Yep.
That's right.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you,
That's right.
history.
History,
People-
history, folks.
So
Get some. Get
please have a wonderful rest of the week. Have a wonderful Father's Day. Thank you so much, Rev, for coming
Hey.
in. When you come back
some.
anytime,
Thank you.
you're
God
welcome.
bless you. God bless
We hope
you
you
all.
have a great event. And remember, EPOD 8 coming up.
Coming
if you
up.
want to help, do it. Thank you, George. And please, if you missed any part of this broadcast, you can watch it again on Facebook. You can go to YouTube. Thank you so much for your participation. Like us on Facebook and subscribe on YouTube. I'm Alice Lara with Don Jorge.
Don Jorge.
Until next week at 6 o'clock. I hope you like this new time. Guac on. This time we turned off and I'll quit smiling. Oh, you got the music? We should have ended it with the Trump. Oh, you're done?
No, you can play the music. I'm not still on YouTube.
Well, I don't have my phone. You have my phone. Oh. I don't know how to get to YouTube. You got a fancy phone. Sorry, George, I don't know your phone. Well, next time. Next time.
I wonder, I forgot to ask Leslie. I needed some copies for the deal. I wonder where I leave them somewhere here and say I can call it in